Welcome to the Dice Tower Summer Spectacular, featuring live plays, contests, and we'd like to thank our sponsors and our special guests, and we hope that you enjoy.
Welcome back to our Summer Spectacular, and guess what? It's the top 10 games of our top 100. Are you guys excited?
It's getting hot in here.
Let's
do
it!
So let's get into summer mode.
So yeah, I'm Roy Canning.
I'm Wendy Yee.
Jason Levine.
Are you still the gaming machine?
Tom would have let me
Tom
do it
just
earlier,
mixed it.
but since
see
Tom's
Tom
not here,
on.
Jason Levine, the gaming machine.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Nice. But hey, we are super excited to bring you our top 10, but we do want to shout out that the World Series of Board Gaming is sponsoring all of the Summer Spectacular, and the World Series of Board Gaming is a place you can go to compete in board games. You want to play board games with the best players in the world? Make sure to check out the World Series of Board Gaming. We have a affiliate link down below that would help us out if you click that and check it out. And you can join us there. We're going to be doing lots of live streaming. We're going to be doing lots of gameplay. We're also going to be having some of the winners from last year at this Summer Spectacular.
That's right. We're going to have Patrick Merry-Me is going to come play Cascadia, so he was the winner of that ring. And then Scott Kushner is going to come play Seven Wonders. So they'll be here towards the end of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Do you know, Chris?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. So we're excited about those special guests coming from the World Series of Board Gaming.
The Dice Tower job, we have to beat them in the games.
Good luck with that.
If you like the game, then you got to put a ring on it. Right?
Yes.
But yeah, well, I'm super excited about our top 10, so I think we should go ahead and get into it.
I just want to gush over my top 10. This is so exciting. Okay, so this was 12, then it was 15, now it's 10. It's a fabulous game, and it's been fabulous for a very long time. And this is King Domino. All right, so this is one of those games. What?
No, it's not.
What do you have on my list?
Did you change it?
Show me what my top 10 is, what my number 10 is. Oh, Mike put them in the wrong order. Or I put them in the wrong order and labeled them wrong. This is actually my number 9, but I'll talk about it since we're here. So my number 9 is actually Destiny's. I guess it's 10 now. But this is also a fabulous game. This is a crossover with Roy, right? Has this been on your list yet?
No.
It's not been on your list yet?
No.
Has it been on your list, Jason?
No.
No one's talked about Destiny's yet?
No.
I get to talk about it first. I think this is going to be a crossover. I'm excited. So in Destiny's, you are just running around, looking at locations, reading story, interacting with things, maybe working for some money, maybe going and, fighting some weird ghost wolf in the middle of the forest, protecting fairies.
Gotta watch out for that
Who
ghost
knows?
wolf.
This is one of those games that has so much positive interaction because what happens on your turn is important, because if you don't finish it and complete it and it's something that somebody else needs, then they might come in and swoop and finish what you were working on first. So there's a lot of cool moments in there. It's not really that like fighty McFighty, but we are competing for a lot of the same things. And so as we explore around and as we do stuff, we're trying to pay attention to what's going on in the world. And so I just really enjoy the type of interaction. I love the level up system. The way that you're actually like leveling up your characters for the three different attributes.
Yeah.
I don't love dice rolling in competitive games, but I'm okay with this. And I think it's because we're all exploring that same map together. And so it feels almost semi-cooperative in some ways. And also it's just the story's so good that I'm okay with all the other parts.
Like the story you're reading is cooperating with me.
Yes.
Like, oh, you're reading that? Okay, I get what you're reading.
You
okay.
mentioned a silver
I'm
knife.
gonna beat you there.
I'm looking for silver stuff, baby.
There you
Because
go.
silver kills werewolves.
I haven't actually played this one. I want
What?
to.
You haven't played this?
No. Is it
I
app?
thought you were the gaming machine.
It is
Is it
app-driven.
app-based, just
Yes.
like Chronicles of Crime? I assume.
Yes,
Yeah, but it's different.
It's different. It's different enough. I would consider this to like more like competitive Mansions of Madness almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then I
so
want to
it's
play
very
it.
much like exploration, running around, like discovering things. But just like in Mages of Madness, you have to like pay attention to the story. And not only are you paying attention to the stories that you read, you're also paying attention to the stories the other players read, which makes it cool.
And the Myth and Folklore has been my favorite box so far.
And it does have QR codes in this as well. Like, oh, well, I'm going to do this sort of thing. Do you have this? It's like, oh, let me scan. Yeah, this works. You know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my number 9?
Actually.
Question mark?
So, Tom was teasing me before. I'm wearing this shirt because we talked about Dice Tower Essentials a lot in the in our videos, and Tom just put up a video about Dice Tower Essentials for those who didn't know, which is kind of cool.
Is this a Dice Tower Essentials game?
Wait, I thought you weren't allowed to have Dice Tower Essentials on your list.
But at least I'm allowed to wear an Arcade Wonder shirt to say, yay, Dice Tower Essentials, which Tom made a nice video which actually explains it.
Nice.
My number 10 is actually an older game. I say that about a lot of games, actually.
That's because it's true.
And, well, this one's not that old. This one came out after, no, it came out before 2000,
Did it come out after I was born this time?
It did come out after you were born.
Not after your kids were born,
It's a racing game. It's my favorite racing game.
Oh, wow.
It is Formula D.
Nice.
You know, I actually played this. I played like an older version of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was one of those, once again, I went to a game night that wasn't really hobby gamers, but like somebody had this and I played it. And it was in one of those long, awkward boxes.
That's the version that came out before this. That was the version from the 90s that I have. I have this version too because I like to collect all the maps. And basically this game has a very different feel. Like Heat was on my list earlier, and this has a very different feel because this one, you're shifting your gears and each gear has a die and each die has special numbers. So like the first dies are going to go 1 to 4 spaces, but if you get up that 6th die, it goes 21 to 30.
That's awesome.
While the other die goes 11 to 20. So which gear you're in determines it, and you have to upshift, downshift. If you
Do you have to like stop in each turn as well?
You do. You have to make a certain amount of stops in each turn, and you could burn your engine. So it gives it a different feel than Heat, but it's neat because you have to take the odds of, if I go with this die, I might make it, but if I go with this die, I might overshoot too much. And which die do I go with? Do I take the random chance and get a low number on this die, or do I would rather get a high number on this die?
And the funny thing is that if you're rolling the d20 and the highest gear, though, you can still end up going 1 space.
No, you can't. 11.
Oh, is 11 the lowest?
It's 11 to 20 twice. It's not. It's really a d20 with two 11 to 20. It's not really a 1 to 20, because you're in a gear that you're going to go at least 11, but you want to go to, I want to get 15 spaces, so which die do I do? And it's a really neat choice, because if you downshift, you could downshift 1. If you downshift 2, you're burning your engine. And, what do you want to do? You have tires that you could screech in and all sorts of neat things. I really, really enjoy this game a lot.
I do think Heat replaces this in the hobby, because it does a lot of those similar things with the corners.
The card mechanic,
But with the card, I just think that it's a little bit cleaner and quicker.
Interesting.
Yeah, this one's longer, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, my number 10, I think that Wendy and me were on the same quest, and she was trying to steal the things before I could get to it. Because my number 10 is Destiny's.
That's why Mike did it, to make it the same but different.
If Mike switched our whole lists, our entire lists, and you have, my whole list is Euro games, and your whole list is thematic games.
I'm waiting to see.
It would be neat.
This would be so exciting.
But this is so crazy, because me and Wendy have extremely differing tastes in games. But we both really enjoyed Destiny's. We have played it together several times. We played it apart a bunch of times as well. But I just love this game. The story that comes out of it. This is like an experience game, And yes, you're all racing to complete your destiny, and you're trying to figure out, okay, they talked to this person. Maybe I need to go over there. Oh, dang, Chris got to it first. Let me go over here and do this. And Chris got to that first. Chris, stop it. I'm going to go the other half of my destiny and do that one, because I'm competing with Wendy instead. But yeah, so there's all these different things you can do in the game. It's a ton of fun. The story comes out of it as you're playing it. But even if I lose the game, and I think I rarely ever win this game, but I still have fun going through that experience of uncovering all the different things and uncovering all the different parts of the story. And it's really cool, because also, when you complete your thing, it's like, it gives you this epilogue of, what happened at the end and what happened to all the other players at the end, depending on how the quest ended. It's just really cool.
That's one thing that I really enjoy exploring in games, and this is just all about that exploration.
Yes. Yep.
And I think that's why I enjoy it so much.
Yes.
Once again, if I win, that's cool. If I don't, it's okay.
Jason, you need to play this so we can have a 3-year crossover.
I know.
It's very story-driven. It's not Euro at all, but it's fun.
I'd like it. I mean, I like Chronicles of Crime. I like Journeys into Middle-earth. So
That's that style of
think
thing.
I would like it.
Yeah. So my number 10, Destinies.
All right, Chris, tell me what my number 9 is. Now I don't even know. Airlines Europe. Okay, that's my number 8. Did Mike just skip? Did he do a double? Now I'm curious.
Was there just a miss in here?
Bam.
Ooh, okay. Well, anyways, we're just gonna keep going. So, Airlines Europe. This is a game I love, love, love. This is the game that we always play when we go home and we visit family in Vegas. Chris's stepdad is a big fan of airplanes. He's been a driver for one of the airlines for like their pilots and their VIPs all over Vegas. And so he loves telling us about the cool planes that he sees, the cool jets on the tarmac that he gets to see, as he's loading and unloading people and driving them around town. And so Airlines Europe has just been one of those games where it was exciting because it was planes for a stepdad, and then the family just latched onto it. So there's a lot of positive interaction. So as you are building up airplane routes, you're actually increasing the stock prices of them, but they don't belong to anybody. It's a majorities game. And as you are collecting cards, like it costs money to put out airplanes and invest in stocks, but it also takes time to invest in cards, and then it takes time to play them out, but you get a little money for playing them out. And so it's this constant balance of, do I have enough cash on hand so that I can buy a route, so that I can get a card if a really good card comes out that I really need? But also I want to spend all my money because I want to get what's out now. So it's just like all these really good decisions about balancing that money, balancing that stocks, and all that positive interaction of just really working on stuff. So I love this one so much.
It's awesome.
Have either of you played this?
I have. I love it too. I mean,
yeah.
Ellen released this after Ticket to Ride, but it has some feels of Ticket to Ride, but some feels of a stock game, and it really works well.
The combination, like I really enjoy the Ticket to Ride Pennsylvania because it has the stocks included, but I think that this is done so much better.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like this is, out of the two, I will always pick this one.
Stocks
Obviously,
to ride.
it's my number 8, 9.
My number, I hope it's my number 9. I feel like it's going to be a crossover. We haven't talked about this one yet, but I feel like it's going to be a crossover. I do like theming games. I know everyone thinks I'm just this robotic Euro gamer, but I do love theming games. And there's one game that I love that has an amazing theme, an amazing system, and just came out with another new expansion that we got in Essen, and it's War of the Ring.
Wait, what? Why is it so low?
Number 9?
Number 9 is terribly low.
Number 9 is an amazing spot for an amazing game. In fact, I have that version of the game.
Do you even like War of the Ring?
I love War of the Ring. That's why it's number 9.
We've played this multiple times together. It's fun.
We have played this together, and it's so much fun. And it takes other games like the Command and Color system, like a Star Wars Queen's Gambit type of game, but it takes it into a deep, epic game.
It's different than that, though. It doesn't have that much of a feel of that, I don't think.
It does. It has a card-driven feel. I mean, it's a card-driven game. You're using cards to make your decisions.
Dice-driven game where you have cards that help you.
Okay, yeah, it is a dice-driven game too. It's both. And
do the cards like add modifiers to the dice?
They add powers.
They add modifiers to the combat if you use them in the combat, but a lot of the cards kind of like will give you this thing or that thing as the game's going on.
Yes.
And you have to be like, okay, should I play out the strategy of this card, or am I going to use this card for combat? So it's dual use cards.
Do you want Gandalf to come in and do cool things, or do you want to do something to destroy, Sauron's troops? And it's really neat choices, and I love the asymmetricalness of this, that one side is the Fellowship and you got to get there and dunk the ring, and the other side is the Shadow and you have to destroy the Fellowship on the map or make them go insane. It works really well. I know I think we're gonna have a lot more to talk about this game in a little bit.
You used to have the big wooden box of this, right?
I still have the big wooden box of this.
Used to have. Have you seen it lately?
Was someone in my house recently? I don't even know.
Nah, this version of the game is really cool. The gigantic box, and that box
and the
is
painted
just
minis.
ridiculously huge. So,
yes,
that's awesome.
So Jason and Roy.
Yes.
Which IP is better, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings for games, Star Wars for movies, but Lord of the Rings for games.
What did you just say?
Okay.
Yes.
You think the Star Wars movies are better than the Lord of the Rings movies?
Yes, I do. Remember, there's more Star Wars movies, but I'm taking the best Star Wars movies versus the best Lord of the Rings movies.
I started something I didn't
That's
mean
fine.
to begin here.
We'll find out what chat thinks about them. But I love both. They're both epic, and both games, Rebellion and this, are both in my top 20.
You just pitted all of nerddom against each other.
Yes.
Fantasy or
yes.
space.
Do it.
Yes.
Right.
Awesome.
I see a lot of Lord of the Rings in the chat.
Of course. Well, that being said, my number 9 is actually a space-themed game. And it is a space-themed game that actually came out before I was born. And some would say that this is the godfather of like asymmetrical powers in games.
Star Wars?
No. This is Cosmic Encounter. Cosmic Encounter is an amazing like game where you're playing the game like kind of like trying to talk each other into like how the game is going to work. You know, it's a oh my goodness, negotiation game. For some reason I kept thinking deduction in my head. Like that's the wrong word.
Wrong word. No
But
deduction.
you're trying to negotiate with the other players and like talk through all of the different stuff. Basically, you win the game if you have like five bases. That's all you need. But multiple people can actually win the game. But it's crazy because you have to have this interesting. Everybody has crazy different alien powers, and it's extremely. A lot of the powers are super game breaking. But if Wendy has a game breaking power that we know she's going to be able to crush all of us with, do we want her to ally with us and crush us on the side on our side? So hey, even though Wendy's really awesome, I can be awesome with Wendy. Or when Wendy's against me, it's like, guys, if Wendy's about to win her last one, she's not even inviting anybody to ally. Let's all work together against her. So it's one of these games where you have to like play your cards just right, literally, because you're playing cards in combat to fight each other off. But just to figure out how to eke and talk your way into actually being able to win the game. And it's just such a great game that has literally lasted the decades, you know?
It has.
This game is so old. And I guess I'm so old now too. But I really love Cosmic Encounter.
What if Cosmic Encounters was like all the different nerd IPs against each other? So you were like,
So you're battling?
You're like a faction in
And
Star
you're
Wars. It'd be
we're
like
gonna
Smash
negotiate
Up.
together. No, I'm just combating instead. I now
Yeah.
crush you.
It'd be like all the nerdiness in Smash,
Smash
Up
Up.
and Matt and whatever.
It
Match
would be cool.
Box 20. What's the name of
Yeah.
that?
I've
then
I've interviewed the
this one.
designers and stuff for this, and I feel like it's almost like their little social experiment of like, if all these different races and different things are coming together, like how can they either like work together, or does it just come into all chaos and everybody fights each other?
It's an
So-
interesting thought process, but I love this game also. Obviously, Dune was on my list.
Yes.
Which is this, but with set properties.
Yeah.
And this, there's so much. By the way, are you a want to win solo or don't mind combining with others win person?
I don't care how I win as long as I'm part of the winning team, and I will totally negotiate for the win. I know that's cheesy, but I will also ally with everybody on my side against the one person. But I've totally been the person that pulls the card, and it's just me versus everybody. Everybody else is going to win. I'm about to lose. And that'll be like play a card that says, hey, if if people are attacking you, you can put a colony on somebody else's base.
Yeah.
I'm like one by myself. I honestly don't want to win by myself when I play this. I try to engineer the game so that we can all win together, but it's impossible for everybody to win.
Are
There's
you
always
saying
one person
you're
out.
trying to be a good person?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a good alien person. You know, my species is willing to share the galaxy. You know, unless
Does your
there's
species
only,
have naturally green hair?
maybe? I mean, or maybe it just changes.
The green-haired aliens.
Changes year to year. But yeah, Cosmic Encounter, my number 9.
All right, now I get to talk about King Domino, finally. Okay. My number 10 is King Domino, and this is a game I really enjoy. This was the one that I said was, let me tell you the actual numbers again, because I know you forgot. It was 12, it was 15, now it's 10. Such a good game. So in King Domino, you're placing these little domino pieces together in a 5x5 grid, or the even better version, the 2-player version, where it's a 7x7 grid. And you're trying to connect little crowns up in those regions and make those regions big. And it sounds so simple, and yet it's so much fun. I love the way that you take the turn orders. If you take a really high, awesome tile, then you get a very low turn order next round. So it takes a long time before your next turn, and you get a lot less options. And so I just really enjoy that dynamic turn order thing going on with all the cool puzzliness. I mean, you give me puzzles on a table, I just like trying to fit stuff together and see if I can make it work. So I really enjoy King Domino. You guys have all played this, right?
Oh yeah.
I played Dragomino, which is the dragon version of this for little kids.
Probably
I think
works.
it's very different.
I don't know.
It's simpler.
This one's great. The neat thing about the turn order is that you see 2 turns in advance. You're like, I really want that tile 2 turns from now, so I'm going to go low this time so I go first to the next one to get the one that I want 2 turns from now. And
that's cool.
it's got a really neat mechanic.
This really put Blue Orange on the map for me because that was the spot at company, and I was like, kid games. But this I really enjoy. And I'm an OG version person. I don't want Queen Domino. I don't want all that other, like...
Oh, wow.
Origin, I don't know, was it Origins or Originals or something like that? Like, I just want basic King Domino in 2-player, 7x7 grid. That's how I want to play.
Have you played the Mexican train version of this?
You build them in a circle.
Well, original King Domino is a
They have to go on.
5x5 grid. 5x5. 5x5 is the original. 7x7 was added later.
No, 7x7 with the original box.
There you go.
2 players.
Oh, the 2-player.
2-player version.
Oh, is this a 2-player version?
No,
Right,
it's
any
basic
version is a 2-player
game,
version.
Jason. With when you play 2 players, you
Yes.
play 7x7.
Yes, that's true.
And you have 2 little meeples out. So
That's
you get
true.
2 tiles
I
each
do
round.
remember that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I always played it with more than 2, so I never had to think about
This is the thing, is this
version.
top 100 list made me realize that I am really focusing in on, I love big games, and I also love these really little weeknight games that are easy and fun, and I can play with our daughter.
That's
And I
awesome.
just love, I know it's like such a dichotomy, but I love those 2 combinations of games.
The family factor is like such a big deal.
It
in
matters
games.
so
You know, it's
much,
Like, man,
yeah.
If a game
It
can get to the
is.
table over and over again, I
Right.
mean, it's huge. You know?
That's the thing, is after school, after work, after dinner, we often have 45 minutes before our daughter has to go get ready for bed. You know what I mean? Like, there's very little
Yes.
time in an evening. And so to be able to have family time all the time, which is really important in our house, like, this is one of those games that fits really nicely in that block.
Sweet.
It's true. I used to play a lot longer games, but now I'm finding that I play shorter games because you want to get more games in with people, and you can play with more different people when you're at a convention like our conventions. And shorter games, there's a lot more to them now than there used to be. So you get a full experience in a nice short game.
But I still love some good meat, man. Give me some good meat too.
So do I. I like meeting games. In fact, I know you had TI now 4 in there, or TI 3. I don't know which one you had, but you had TI one of them. And
4.
this game that I'm about to talk about is, I think it's a longer game than that. I think this is the longest game on all of our lists. If you play it to completion, of course, which I have before.
Is this like Megasiv or something?
No, it's Diplomacy.
Oh, wow.
So Diplomacy it's a simple game. It's literally, each turn you write orders. So there's literally, it's stay and defend, move, or support someone else's move. And that's it. You could move along the land, you could move along the sea. There's all these little spaces with dots, and those are control centers, and as you get more pieces. But where the meat of the game is, and of course you have to take over more than half the map to win solo, or you could combine win. But where the meat of the game is, it's in why it's called Diplomacy. You actually go and you can run off with different people and talk with them and say, I want to do this. What do you think? Let's work together and do this. And you could tell them the truth. You could lie to them. You tell them to do something, they move somewhere, and then you turn around and do the opposite and move into their space.
Yeah.
Or you work with them. I personally think working with people is the better way to play the game. You actually do better if you actually work with people rather than trying to backstab people all the time. But it's a wonderful game, very simple to play, and I think it's amazing. I know people call this the friend killer, but I honestly believe that if you're doing things in a game,
It shouldn't be taken outside.
it shouldn't be taken outside the game. I'll talk about that a little more later on this list. But
How do you feel like this compares to the like Game of Thrones board game? Because I know it has like hidden moves and you can ally and help other people or stab them in the back, sort of thing too. I know it's got a lot more gamery stuff, and this is probably more like simple, right?
This is simple and bare bones.
Yeah.
And
And it's all about just strictly that negotiation.
Yeah.
right?
yes, it's
I've never played this, and I'm kind of sad I haven't. But
They had a giant
We
copy
should.
at Circle DC that people were playing. Like, it was like laid out on the floor and just filled up a whole room.
I have some news about that. That giant copy is coming to Dice Tower East in 3 weeks.
oh wow,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been invited to play in the game. I don't know if it's going to work out with my schedule of everything I'm doing there, but I want to play in the game. The giant copy is going to be there.
If you got invited, are you already starting alliances? That's the way to do it.
I don't even know what country I'm going to be.
Pre-negotiation.
You go into the game we're thick as thieves. We're never going to backstab each other the entire thing. We're going to roll the whole thing.
You could. Yeah. Like England and France.
Can you have multiple winners like in Cosmic Encounters?
You can. So basically, in the game, there's 35 centers, and if someone gets 18 solo, they win. But you can say, okay, if 2 people get, I don't know what the number is.
I've heard this game is completely just ruined friendships before,
it's not a rule, but you can say if 2 people get 21, they win because they've gotten half the more plus more. So yes, you could. You can say, okay, we're going to work together the whole time.
You can have ways that happens.
Yes.
Yeah,
but if you want to play the pure game, the actual rules of the game, you go until one person gets 18, and eventually those people that work together are going to have to do something.
It's like Highlander. You chop off their head and you get all their
There
armies.
could only be one. Yes. But it doesn't wreck friendships. I've played this game with many people, and it.
I'll play with Roy. We're not friends as it is, so it won't break our friendship.
Then that's the best way to do it for people.
But we can still win
who
together.
don't get
That's
along.
Awesome. My number 8. Here's a game that I've talked about a ton. I love this game, but the fact that a cooperative version of this game came out just raised this game even higher for me, and I just really love Unmatched. And this counts as all of Unmatched, not just Unmatched Tales to Amaze, but Tales to Amaze has pushed it up even higher for me because now I can play Unmatched with even more people that normally wouldn't play the game. You know, it's like, oh, I don't want to play a head-to-head game where we just knock each other out. Now you can work together in the game and knock out the different bad guys and the different minions. I taught this to a family on the cruise, and that was a lot of fun. And I've played this game a bunch of different times. I played so much of the head-to-head versions of Unmatched. I played lots of games of Unmatched where we're just in Battle Royale. We had one of those the other night with the new set where we're just wrecking each other. And we're going to be playing Unmatched live here on the channel a little bit later. Me and Jason are going to.
Yeah.
Jason's probably going to wreck me, but it'll be fun.
We're playing the Shakespeare version, so Roymeo, wherefore art thou, Roymeo?
About to be in the other room. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I love Unmatched. It's a great game. So my number 8.
All right, my number 7 is Draftosaurus. Correct? Yes, that's correct. Okay,
Ooh,
I did it.
This
I
was
get
great.
30 points. Okay, this was 69. Now it's then 13. Now it's 7. Draftosaurus is another one of those games that's just like such a good weeknight game. This takes 15 minutes to play. Like it is so fast. This is like, hey, we really have to play a game fast. We need something, but we want to do something. Like, I love this. Or you can play it 3 times in a row. Like honestly, play the front, play the back, play an expansion. You know what I mean? So Draftosaurus, you're literally just drafting a hand of little dinosaurs. Take one, pass them along, stick them on your board, and then there's just a variety of different scoring conditions. So you're trying to get some of the same dinosaurs, some different dinosaurs. You want some pairs of lovey-dovey dinosaurs. But also where you place them depends on what was rolled on the die. And whoever rolls the die gets to break that rule each round. And you just take turns. It's very fast, very simple and fun. And I love this one. You guys played?
I love this game.
You played this, Rogue, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
What?
I didn't know there were lovey-dovey dinosaurs, though.
Yeah, you want to make pairs in certain cages. You want to get sets of different ones, like one, then the other, then the other, then the other, and go back and forth of different ones. And there's each cage has a different rule that you want to do, and it's a great game.
T-Rexes are always good.
Oh, great.
They're always worth points.
The expansions are great too.
The expansions are fun. I'm just happy to play the base game, but the expansions are fun too.
Yeah, this is one for you. You need to play this. It's so
Draft.
good. Dino Draft. The only bad thing is when you reach in the bag, you're supposed to not feel, and you're supposed to grab a pile, but you could sort of feel because they're all different shaped.
No, I never have that problem.
I just reach in and grab.
Yeah, you just grab.
Yeah,
We don't,
I just reach in and
dig
grab.
around.
But I wish they were all the same shape on our tokens, but I do like the Dino Meeples. So this one's a crossover as well.
Is it Destiny's? No, because you haven't played it. Okay,
No,
continue.
it's a crossover with Roy.
I knew our crossovers were all at the top of your
Yeah,
list.
right?
But this one was earlier on your list. It should have been higher. It's that good of a game. I think I taught this. I think I taught this one to you.
We'll see.
I don't know if I taught this to you, Wendy. I know I taught it to Chris. I think Dice Realms.
Oh, yes, I love this game.
So I love this game. I always loved Dominion. Dominion's on my list. And I think this takes Dominion to...
Really? You think this is better than Dominion?
Yes. I love the dice teching. So instead of having a deck of cards, it's all on your dice. And you're like, okay, I'm getting this. And now I'm going to upgrade this side of the die to do better things. And I'm going to upgrade this side of the die to do better things. Then I'm going to tech up to this cool thing. And then I have all these cool things so I can chain my dice and do cool things with it. And I just love the dice building in this. I think that's what makes it so neat.
That's interesting because I like this a lot, but I don't like it over Dominion for sure.
I definitely have it over Dominion on my list as well.
Do you?
I don't know. The simultaneous play in this is huge as well.
Yes.
The fact that you're rolling the dice and there's one die that goes around for the first player, but it has like bad things that can happen. So you have to like, you can get a bunch of dice and do that, but then you're pressing your luck because then if you run out of wheat, you're going to like be paying penalties and getting negative points. And the game is so snappy quick. I really love Dice Realms. It's a really great game.
And there's an expansion coming out in like a few weeks. I don't know if it's out yet or if it's coming out, but there's an expansion.
I feel like this one flew under the radar. I'm sure it's probably because of the price point.
The price point.
Yeah.
The price point was...
It's not easy to play, like get a hold of just because like it's cost prohibitive for people. But I think the gameplay itself is just amazing. Like if you come to one of our Dice Tower events, like don't be shy pulling this off the shelf. You know, I'll actually teach it. I talk to people on the cruise.
I'll teach it. I've
so
taught it to a ton of people too. I'll definitely teach this one to everyone.
Yeah, and then you can save your pennies and actually still play the game.
There you go.
So my number 7, we talked about a game that was app-driven before with lots of story. This is my biggest app-driven game with lots of story. I love this game. I have everything for it, and this is Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. I enjoyed first editions of Mansions of Madness, but if you didn't set the board perfectly and then you had somebody running it, this just takes Mansions of Madness to the whole next level. I know people have talked about it a ton, but I love the puzzles in this game are super cool, and you're trying to figure all the stuff out. Even the puzzles outside of like the actual app puzzles, there's puzzles of like, hey, this thing happened over in the bedroom on the east side of the mansion. You're like, okay, where's the bedroom at? Okay, that's the cupboard. Okay, that's this. Okay, oh, we're going to go in here. Oh my goodness, and we pull the cabinet off the wall, and there's a secret door behind it. It's just so exciting as you're playing the game and uncovering and trying to stop cultists or trying to like figure out what's going on this like this ship that's sinking, or you're on a train, or there's so many different scenarios in this game now with all the different expansions, and I love playing Mansions of Madness. This is like my go-to, like October, you have to play Mansions of Madness. Has it actually been Halloween and October time if you haven't played Mansions of Madness yet? I don't think so. This game's amazing.
It is my world.
Yeah.
I love this. I agree with you. The first edition, which had all the puzzles and cardboard,
it was fun, but it was so easy to mess up.
But putting it into an app is what took this game over the top, I think.
I think that apps have made such a cool effect on board games. I mean, we see that some of our really thematic games are so much better, and they're high on our list because of the apps.
It adds to that immersion, you know, when you're like, oh, I'm gonna like open up this thing and like you hear glass breaking. It's like, oh my goodness, you know, it adds like it like immerses you in that world even more, which is just so cool.
But it also just does the upkeep so much better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's what makes a difference.
I'm surprised you have this one higher than Journeys of Middle-earth.
Oh, for sure. The main reason, and that's easy to talk about, is the fact that Journeys of Middle-earth is a campaign, and it's so much harder for me to get to the table. I can play this game with anybody.
Yeah.
Journeys of Middle-earth, like, I literally haven't played it much at all since, like, I enjoy the mechanics. I love the Lord of the Rings IP way better than Lovecraft. I do enjoy Lovecraft as well, but, like, Lord of the Rings is my favorite IP, but the fact that it's campaign and I can't do one-shots of it and I can't teach it to everybody because it's like, hey guys, do you want to sit down for a campaign? We don't really have time to do that. I have one night to play games with you. If Journeys of Middle-earth ever went back and said, hey, we're going to make a bunch of one-shots, it would probably raise up my list so quickly. But the fact that it's campaign, the reason I play board games instead of D&D is so that way I can just play one-shot games with
This
anybody.
also has puzzles in it, right? And the Journeys of Middle-earth doesn't really have puzzles.
It has. Actually, if you get further into the scenarios, there are some of that deduction type stuff. Because I remember there was one scenario in Journeys of Middle-earth where I was like, oh, somebody in the bar did this thing. And you have to go around and question everybody and figure that out. So there's a little bit of puzzly type stuff in that as well. But this definitely has those app sliding puzzles and like do this thing and that thing and like oh we're playing Mastermind now to unlock the ancient runes or something.
It's almost like you're in an escape room, just a little bit, like hints of escape room.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Mansions of Madness. My number 7.
All right, number 6 is by my favorite designer, Phil Walker Harding, but spoilers, it is not my favorite game by him. So this is Baron Park.
Yes.
I love Baron Park. Oh my goodness. Polyominoes. Here's another quick night game. So in Baron Park, you are making this zoo, this bear park in front of you, but you're trying to complete a bunch of different races to points, and you can't complete them all. So there's certain objectives, there's like 3 objectives that come out, and you get less points if you're the later on people to do it, but also you're trying to fill in your little boards in front of you, and you are trying to collect the highest of certain tokens. Like certain tokens get worth less points as you put them down, like the actual pieces you put on your board. So it's just like you're trying to race to everything, and you just want to get the most things that you can, like the most races you want to win as best you can, or at least do well in all of them. And it just is one of those games that I love. As you place pieces down, it's what determines what pieces you get in the future. And so not only are you trying to do all this stuff, but you're also trying to figure out how to play stuff so you can fill in those boards as quick as you can, but also you need to set up your future pieces. So it's forward thinking, it's got adorable bears, and it's polyominoes, and I love everything about it, man. This one's really fun to pull out. In fact, I pulled it out, I don't know if it was last year on the cruise, maybe the year before, but I pulled it out and taught some people, and I just assumed that everybody knew this game, and nobody at my table knew it, and so I got to teach it, and it was fun. So, yeah.
Nice.
I love this game, too. I was sitting there the whole time, because I love this game, but I was sitting there the whole time going, what Phil Walker Harding game would you like more than this? And I was running through all his games to see which one I think is going to be higher in your list. But I think Baron Park's a great game.
It's a good one. It's a very good one.
So my number 6 is, I guess it's an oldie now. It's still a modern game as opposed to like an older game from the 80s or 90s, but it's now considered a classic, and it's one of my favorites. I love tech and building tech and everything, and it's Through the Ages.
Nice.
I absolutely adore this game. I have played it so many times. I have that original version there, the old box with the multicolor. The other box is the newer version where they updated some cards and did a few things. But this game is just great. I mean, you have a tech tree, and you're picking up cards, and when you're picking up the cards, you're then going to use your cards to do powers, to build buildings, to do all sorts of things, to collect materials, to be able to build more cards and build out this whole empire.
That's awesome.
And it really does empire building and civ building in a amazingly great way. And I just love it. I think the app is even better. I think the app is, if you don't want to have to set up a whole board, the app is one of the finest apps ever made. Like CGE did a really, really great job with the app. So if you're looking for a good game that has an amazing version on app, this is one to get.
That's cool.
Very cool. I think I played this.
If not, I gotta play this with you. I think you'll like this one. It's very Euro.
I think Chris and I played this. I think we played the physical copy and then we played the app. Because he was playing the app a bunch. If this is what
Nice.
He's shaking his head, yes, this is the one. Okay.
All right, my number 6, I know that Jason's talked a lot about the Campman and color system. This is a game set in that system, but I took it with gigantic monsters and lots of fantasy, and this is Bad Lore 2nd Edition. I love Bad Lore 2nd Edition, and I know this game is super out of print, and people complain about me having out of print games on my list. I like games that, even though they're out of print, hey, that's my actual paint job this time.
Ooh.
Yay.
But yeah, I love Bad Lore. I've played so much of it. I love the fact that it's this 2-player head-to-head game where you have this fog of war at the beginning where you put all of your units face down. You get to point by your army. It gives you like this miniatures game feel as you're buying all the different stuff for your army, and all of your characters have special abilities. There's custom dice in this game where when you roll certain symbols, it's going to trigger abilities, and then also you're going to be able to basically you're going out there trying to chase down objectives. You're flipping all your guys up and like, okay, this is where all my people are. Okay, I'm on the right flank, I'm going to try to go here, and the left flank, I'm going to do this. And it's all depending on how you get those cards. Command and Colors is a system where, hey, you have a right, center, and left flank, and you play a card and it'll allow you to move units normally on a single flank or maybe on a couple of the flanks, but you can't move all of your stuff however you want, so you're kind of limited to those cards that you have. And I just love the dice combat back and forth in this, where you get to attack and you can make your opponent retreat sometimes, and do you run into their space, but then they're going to get a counterattack against you back, but they're probably sitting on an objective, so you're pushing them back and being able to press your advance. This is not a game about destroying all of your opponent's units. This is a game about figuring out the best way to sit on the objectives and gain points. Also, when you build the map for this, you have 2 different cards you put together, and that builds out the map for the game. So I pick a card, and they pick a card. You put that out, and that builds all the terrain for the game.
All I hear is that this is a Euro game.
It is.
It's definitely about gaining points and chucking dice and blowing up your opponent.
This whole system it's a Euro system in a war game, basically, is what the system is.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to, victory points is a cool thing, and it's a very Euro thing, but it makes games fun. But also, like, I just love the way this game works. I really wish they would bring this back into print for people, because I know, like, a lot of the expansion stuff is so ridiculous. I made like epic versions of this, and I played it with like Chris and Joey and them at the retreat and stuff like that. And then like I was even talking about in Breakfast, I made a 3-player version where you're all like running to the middle against each other. I love Battlelore 2nd Edition, and bring it back, Fantasy Flight. It's so much fun. And give us elves this time.
All of these, like I love Battlelore, Memoir, and there's going to be new stuff. There's going to be new systems coming out that I've heard of. And they're going to be very exciting. So I love this whole system.
Yeah. But yeah, I love this game. Battlelore 2nd Edition.
Okay, the chat's been concerned that there's been like only family games so far on my list. So let's get a little bit more in depth. So, my favorite Alexander Pfister game of all time. I recently taught this to Jason, and this is Boone Lake.
This would have been on my list. If I had played it before I made this list, this would have been on it.
It's so that good, right? It is. So this was number 3 last year, and I hadn't played it at all this year until actually I played with Jason. Yes. And now I'm like, it needs to be back in number 3 spot. Yep, maybe number 2. It's so good.
It looks like it would have made Jason's list.
Oh, it's so good.
It is so good.
Okay.
I've been waiting for Wendy to. I've been waiting for Wendy to bring this game up because I wanted to say that this is going to be in my top 100 next time. It's that good.
Would it be in your top 10?
I don't know about top 10, but it's going to be decently high.
Okay, this is a great game. This is a great game. So there's so much. So Roy, you really like real-time games, or not real-time games, but like that simultaneous play.
Yeah.
So this has that. So for every action tile that you choose, everybody else gets to do a minor action as well.
Oh, cool,
so
yeah.
it's that. It's kind of a follow mechanic. But they're very specific action discs that you're moving up and moving. But also, this is one of those games that has great engine building. So as you're placing stuff on the map, is uncovering things, very Terra Mystica style, Clans of Caledonia style, like that kind of thing. And there's resources that you have on your board that you're using with the little canoe, but then also there's resources with money, and the cards are a resource themselves. And there's no hand limits. You can just get a ton of cards that you then pay for things, but then also you use the cards to build, and the cards have amazing powers and endgame points. Like, there's just so much awesomeness going on while it's having that very much like simultaneous play feel of I get to take an action, you guys get to do something on my turn. And so there's never that like moment where you're just bored. And so I love having that heavy game. There's so much to explore, so much to do. There's a ton of different strategies and different objectives that you can set up each game. And then you get to just all play together. And so I love it so much. The more I play, the higher this gets on my list. Oh my goodness.
And the sideboard where you get to do special actions. If you trick
the little switches?
The little switches, you can do special actions. Like, everything about this game is amazing. I'm glad you showed it to me because I love it too. Alexander Pfister is amazing, and this game's amazing.
Yeah, this I feel like is Pfister's opus. Like, so good. So very good. Make another one like this, Alexander. Go for it.
Yes.
Go for it, Pfister.
So, my number 5, if we're speaking of opuses, my number 5 is an opus also. And it's funny because you wouldn't think that someone could design their first game and also make it an opus, but this really is Elizabeth Hargrave's opus, and it's Wingspan. I absolutely love this game. When we had gotten a copy of this game before it came out, Stonemeyer had sent us a copy, and we played it at the very first Dice Tower retreat, and we had to lock it in a room because it wasn't allowed to be taken photos of or people talk about it. So we had it in a locked room, and we would pull it out and play it with people. So Tom would play it with people, I would play it with people, and I just love the tech building of this game. I love the cards, the hand, the engine, everything about this game works, and it is just phenomenally designed and phenomenally done. And even the theme, I know some people don't like birds, but I think the birds and the fact that you have some birds that could come in and eat the other birds, everything with the theme works too. And this is just a phenomenal game.
You know what? Chris and I went on the Dice Tower cruise as fans the year that this came out. And this and Smartphone Inc. were like the two games that everybody wanted to play. And it's funny because now everybody still talks about Wingspan and nobody talks about Smartphone Inc. Like, it's just funny to see how they stick around.
But what if it had dragons?
See, I like the dragon one better.
I like the dragon one too.
See, I'm OG. I like this, even though I liked Wormspan
Really?
as well.
I wouldn't have guessed.
I
that
liked
you're
Wormspan
OG.
as well. Don't get me wrong, Wormspan is very good as well, but this one just has a pureness to it.
I really wish the bird feeder was just grab a resource of your choice. Get rid of the bird feeder.
I actually don't mind the little dice thing. It's kind of cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can mitigate it. You could, when there's one left, you re-roll. There's ways to mitigate. Also, 2 resources turn into 1. You know, you could do a 2-for-1 exchange.
Just give me wild worms, man.
I like randomness.
That's all I want.
All right, my number 5 here is a game. This is kind of like mine and Tom's go-to game to play against each other. And we have played almost every single faction of Summoner Wars 2nd Edition with each other. I love Summoner Wars. Summoner Wars has always been in my top 100. So Summoner Wars is just so much fun. But yeah, I really enjoy just the way the game comes together and the way... oh my goodness, my mind is blinking. It was like, Chris is either working on stuff or... Okay, Summoner Wars, Summoner Wars. 2nd edition. But yeah, I just love everything that they did to make this even better. Now the events are cool. The events like can stick around for like a round, and there's so many combos in this, and basically all the factions play completely differently. And it's just cool to see how many different factions they've come out with this game. Like me and Tom just played these storm goblins versus like these mermaid folk or whatever, and it's just completely different. Like the fact that these storm goblins are doing all this chaining of like, okay, you can shock people all the way through that has circuit, and then the merfolk water people are all like, oh, they can build up their summoner, but then also they have a bunch of card draw and things like that. There's just so many different people. You have all the like Phoenix elves that like don't miss as much and things like that. You have so many different factions. They're just cool to play. I love the undead factions that can bring people back to life. I love the shadow elves that are more about like assassinating your opponent. I've just had so much fun playing Summoner Wars over the years. I really need to play through all the factions again because we mostly play the new ones when they come in. I need to go back through and play like everything and like so that way me and Tom can like work on a top 10 for this because I love Summoner Wars. It's just so much fun.
They need to stop coming out with factions because we're not going to fit anymore in the Dice Tower library before that box breaks.
Right?
I love Summoner Wars too. I mean, it was number 43 on my list, and I love it too. I love the app. If you want to play the game, you can play it in the app, and the app works. The new app works really well, and it gives you the same feel as the board game, but even snappier. And I definitely think this one's a winner. I played 1st edition. I'm playing 2nd edition, and I want more and more. I don't care if we have to have a second bin for the factions. I want more of this.
I love the custom dice they added in the 2nd edition as well that now have the same sort of thing with Bad Lore. It has, okay, one side of the die now allows you to trigger a special ability. I really enjoy that mechanic. Obviously. It's just really cool because, I don't know, you have all these different units that can do all sorts of different cool things. It's just so fun. But yeah, my number 5 is Summoner Wars.
All right, my next one has been 6, then 5, now 4, and this is Paladins of the West Kingdom. This is my favorite Shem Phillips, Sam McDonald's game. Oh my goodness, so much fun. So in this, you've got workers, you place them out, and sometimes those workers will get you new workers that get you other stuff, that get you bonuses, that get you more workers. And so it's one of those that you're like, okay, I've got like 4 things I can do on this turn, and then it starts cascading in a beautiful way. There is interaction in the game, and some people say that there's no interaction in this game because you're doing so much on your tableau. But there's this whole thing in the middle where you're fighting over these really awesome actions that get revealed throughout the game. You're also fighting over the spaces where you can build buildings. You can build your red buildings and your black buildings out there, and so you're fighting for those spaces. And I love how thematically everything works. Like you're converting people, so you get to keep them, or you're capturing them. So you get like end game bonus points for killing them. You get to build up your fortress walls. Like there's so much cool things going on thematically throughout the game, but mechanically, each action as you're increasing, like you want to have, like to take a high level action on that, you want to have it upgraded basically on your like little ribbons track. And to do that, you have to take other actions. So it's like the one that requires red ribbons upgrades the blue actions. The one that requires blue ribbons upgrades the black ribbons, and then the black ribbons upgrade the red ribbons. So you have to do a little bit of everything, but you're also really trying to focus in so that you can upgrade stuff. I just love so much of what's going on this. The engine building with the green buildings, it's beautiful. There's a lot, and I love it.
I really need to go back through and play all these Garfield games, because they're so well regarded by everybody. And it's like, man, I've played a couple of them now, so I can't say.
Which ones have you played?
I played the 4X Space one, which I think was like Order and Chaos or something
Chaos
like that.
Order, yeah.
Chaos Order, yeah, that one. And then I played the drafting shipwrights game or whatever.
Oh, that's funny, because those are probably the 2 least interesting ones to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, for you specifically, and that's probably the reason why people pointed
Euro.
them out to me specifically, because normally we have very different tastes. But also, I mean, I would enjoy playing worker placement. I love the sort of thing. A lot of people have told me that I need to play Architects or whatever, so someday I'll make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Architects, and I think this one is better than Architects.
Oh, nice.
Like this one's my favorite in the line too. It didn't make my top 100, but it is my favorite in the line, and I really think it is a great game.
Nice.
Yeah, I like these designers. These are ones that I always pay attention to, even if not every game is as amazing as the previous ones. I just really love how they find a mechanism and they're like, how can we make this different? And so they just play with mechanisms in such unique ways. I think it's very good for the hobby.
So my number 4, it's interesting because I was just reading the chat, and Nurse Ruben just asked a question in the chat about if a game was in my top 100 or not. And it's kind of funny that that question was just asked because my number 4 is Food Chain Magnate. I love this game. Giving it 4 loves for number 4. And
dude, you put the prototype picture in there.
This is there's a new version that Lucky Duck just did, which is going to be a gorgeous version of the game.
Cool. That is
so
cool.
Lucky Duck just did a deluxe version, which I think is still on Kickstarter, or you could do
Are you a purist, or are you going to get the deluxe version? If you love the game so much, do you want it blinged out, or are you going to be like, I prefer my white squares?
No, I'll probably get the deluxe version also because it's going to look cool.
I'm proud of you, Jason.
But which one will you play? I'm sure you'll have them
He's
all.
not going to open either of them. He's going to play somebody else's copy.
I've opened my copy of this. I've played this. I've played this as well.
Sus, I'm not sure.
I played this many times. I played it with Tom where I won 900 and something to 64.
You sure made an impression with
and
that,
I made an impression with Tom on the game. But this one's great. It's tech building. Basically, you have a kind of a tech tree with your cards. You have to splay them out each turn, and you only play a certain amount based on the card, the pyramid down. You could play a certain amount, and it just works really well. And turn order and how you build out on the board. And yes, you can go in and you could market, you could advertise. It really feels like you're a McDonald's or you're a Burger King or you're a Pizza Hut, and you're going in there trying to, deliver to as many customers as possible.
I do like the idea of like the abstractish area control nature of this is kind of interesting,
Yes.
I've never played one of these or whatever, mostly because like the look and things like that, but it is kind of like an interesting concept of like, okay, how can I squeeze out the market in this part of town, So it's kind of
But it's a great game. I'm looking forward to the deluxe version. I think it's coming out later this year or early next year, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how it looks and if it'll play as well. Because yes, you might think that the board is sterile on this, but
I don't think.
But it works well for what you need to do on the board. The point is the board is functional, which is the most important thing in the game is functionality.
I agree in the functionality. I don't agree about this game. But we can agree to disagree.
Now all the food chain magnate people are going to hate us. We know the game's amazing. It's going to be amazing. It's cool. Oh my goodness. My number 4 is a game that I love. This is a sandbox style space game. And I love space games.
Ooh, I know what this is.
Yes.
Zaya.
This is Zaya. There's not very many sandbox style
Scooping the
things.
sand. Oh no, what?
Now I have War of the Ring as my
Roy made me play this.
number 4. Anyway, my number you're gonna get to see how the sausage is made behind here. I'm gonna talk about Zaya, regardless. So I love Zaya so much. It is an amazing game that I basically it's all you're running around space trying to grab up different stuff. There's tons of different ways you can actually get resources and things in the game. You can basically go around, pick up cubes, and drop them off, and you can be kind of like a merchant. Or you can fill up your ship with guns and go either blasting NPCs or blasting the other players, which happens less often in the game. Or you can just be like exploring around. You know, you can be like, okay, I'm gonna just open up as many tiles as I can, get the exploration tokens off it. This is a game that you have to have the expansion for. The expansion fixes a few of the things. I actually played it again with like the base set and I'm just like. And I kept explaining to people as we're playing the game, I'm like, in the expansion, you have this, this, and this, which is really cool. I really wish you were playing the expansion. Man, it's just so much fun. It's a blast to play. I love all the little mods that you can put on there. I love the polyomino aspect of building up your ships. You have all these different polyominoes that fit in your ship a certain way, and they're just cool upgrades. It's like, okay, I get the engines here, and now the guns are going to fit here. We'll save this spot for cargo, but now I got a cargo hold, so the cargo is going to go over there now, and now I can fit a shield in here. It's just so much fun building out and teching out those ships with all the different mods. I love this game, and I've played it so many times. I enjoy the solo mode for this game as well. I played a ton of it solo when they were doing all the playtesting for that. It's just so much fun playing Zaya.
This is why you're so good at Galaxy Trucker, because you played Zaya so many times.
I definitely played Galaxy Trucker before Zaya, but yeah.
No, Zaya is great. Did you ever hear about the version that we had, the deluxe version? We had it for about 2 years.
But did it have the expansion?
It did. It had everything. And they made... I think they only made like 2 copies of it, and one of them we had, and all the pieces were made of wood with stickers on them.
Oh, really?
And it was super deluxe, and I don't know what happened to it. I think we put it in a flea market one year. I wish that we still had it, and that was our library copy because it was so
like
deluxe.
Type
it was like the
whatever?
prototype,
that's kinda
and it was
cool.
all made of wood, and it had these stickers on all the pieces, and it was gorgeous.
Another thing I love about this too is like all the ships come painted. And it comes with metal coins. It's like ridiculously deluxe game. It's so awesome. Zaya's the best. If you haven't played Zaya and you like space exploration, Zaya's a great game. So yeah.
Okay, my number 3 is a CMON game, which is a surprise to everybody, with plastic pieces, and this is Gizmos.
I was wondering if this was going to be at the very tippy top of your list.
Okay, this makes sense.
This is the best Phil Walker Harding game.
I thought you already had this on the list, but I guess I was
I
wrong.
talked about it, I know.
No, this is so good. Oh, I need to print the 3D insert for this, man. Because Mike Heller sent me one that's like an insert and the little Gizmos tray all at once. But this is one of those games that is just like Phil Walker Harding. Someone was like, hey, you should make a game about engine building. And he was like, and cascading. He's like, okay, I'll make a game that's all that it is engine building and cascading. And we'll throw pretty little marbles in it too and make it wonderful. So in this, you're building up gizmos. When you get to 16 gizmos, that triggers the end of the game. But each one of those gizmos has some sort of engine building effect. So it could be like, hey, every time that I pick a blue marble, I also pick a random one out of the top. Or anytime that I build a yellow building, I get a victory point. Or anytime I build a yellow building, I get to pick a marble of my choice. And now because of my other gizmos, I pick a blue marble and I get one out of the top. And so it just like, it cascades in such a beautiful way. And I got to play this recently, actually with 4 people that all knew it, which is fun because I'm usually teaching this game to people and there's usually, it's a little bit slower of a process to try to explain the engine building. And it takes a little bit to be like, oh, I get to use this and this and this and this on my turn. And so it was fun just playing it. with 4 people all at once, super fast, and it was just like, oh, I love this game.
This is one of those games. It's so hard that when you're really good at it to play with other people, you know. I think me and Wendy have played this together, and like then it's like it's a game, you know. But like this is my number 33. I love it. But yeah, it's like some people are like, oh, I do this. I'm like, you did one thing. I'm like, I do this and this and this
and this and this and trigger 8 cards with one thing.
My strategy is I always go for pick and build combinations.
Yeah.
Pick and build is great.
Like the building from File, I wish was stronger.
Right, I agree.
And then the wilds
honestly
can be good, but I feel like they're a little later.
The whole File thing in this game is almost a trap. Which I shouldn't almost say that at the beginning, but yeah, I love Gizmos. Gizmos is a blast.
Yeah, I love Gizmos too. There's Pete online. Pete from Simon's online. Hey Pete.
Hey,
File is really only for if there's a really good card that you want that you don't want someone else to take, then you file. There's no one
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is one that I wish was more supported and had more expansions and more really cool things, because this, I feel like this is going to turn into a Grail game at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it
is. It's not going to be a Grail game because it's going to stay in print forever, right, Pete? This is a game that should never go out of print. That anyone needs to say it's my Grail game, because this game is a game that should stay in print. It's an evergreen.
It's so funny because
it's not a Grail game.
Like we rave about it, but I do feel like in some ways I don't see people playing it a lot, like out on like conventions and things like that, which is surprising to me. I think it came out at the same time as Potion Explosion, and people are just like, "Oh, it's Potion Explosion 2." It's nothing
like that.
Potion Explosion.
This is a tech-up game. It's more like Splendor. It's more like it's got a more Splendory feel because you're doing engine building than it does Potion Explosion.
But it's even better.
Thanks,
than that.
Pete. Thanks for bringing it up. Yeah.
Yes.
Talk about it. Make it happen.
Gizmos expansion. Wait, Gizmos expansion? Really? Ooh.
That would be
great. I'm going to tell them that they need to crack the whip on Phil.
Yes. Crack the whip on Phil. That
Name drop.
So,
all right, Jason. You beat that, Jason. Beat that.
Beat Gizmos? I don't know. Even though I love this next game. I mean, come on. It's my number 3 game. This one's older. And this one is... Well, it's not that old. It came out in 2002, I think, at this point. It was number 1 on BGG for a long time as well. And it's not anymore, but I think I don't even know where it is now because all these new games overtake them. But it's Puerto Rico. I adore this one. It's the game, the system that we talked about earlier in Boone Lake. This is the game that came up with that system. That's why they call it the Puerto Rico mechanic. This game had the mechanic where I take an action and then everyone else gets to do a sub-action off of the action.
Yeah, I love that.
And this one, unlike other games, has no luck. There is absolutely no luck in this game because there's no randomness, there's no dice rolls, there's no anything. It's just you pick an action, you do it, everyone else gets to do a sub-action. And you want to try to maximize not just the actions you pick, but maximize for when everyone else does their sub-action that you'll get a good sub-action out of that action.
So do you feel like, I like games with like no luck in them whatsoever, like I don't enjoy playing. Do you feel like you could solve these kind of games when you play them?
No. I mean, I know everyone says there's a best move at the beginning, but there's many things you could do. And if someone's doing this, you could do this instead to balance it out. And so there's no solve.
How is like anything, if there's no luck whatsoever, then anything you don't do that's not optimal is a misplay?
Not really. I think I think the way the game's designed, there's multiple paths you could go down.
Well,
so you could go down a building path. You go down
playing off the other players and what they're doing, which matters a lot.
Have you played this?
No.
So there's different things. You can go down a building path. You could go down a victory point path. You could go down which is a shipping victory point path, sort of like the same as like Race for the Galaxy.
Yeah, I love Race for the Galaxy.
So you could go down different paths, but unlike a game like Race for the Galaxy where the cards are random, there's no randomness in this.
So there's all like, it's like Race for the Galaxy where you could see all the cards and be able to choose which ones.
There's no cards.
I know, but if you played Race for the Galaxy with cards.
So you could see the card, you could say, I'm taking this specific card and now I'm going to do this. So yeah, you're going down these paths, but if me and you go on the shipping path and Wendy goes on the building path, we should come ahead because more of us are going down that path. But if me and Wendy go on the building path and you on the shipping path, you're going to have a harder time shipping and we're going to do a better time.
Also, it's the interactive
part, not the game itself. The game, I know it's super highly regarded.
I mean, so this year we're going on. I mean, Dice Tower Cruise is going to be stopping in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So this is the year I'm going to teach you this on the cruise.
You should teach it to me. I'd like to play it.
Because we could play it while we're in Puerto Rico, which would be even more exciting.
That would be pretty funny. On Puerto Rico, like take it actually off the ship and play. No, we can't take it.
Are we allowed to
take it off the ship?
Wendy?
Do not take
Bring your
my
own copy.
games off the ship.
Bring your own copy, Jason. Then we can. I would have to open my own copy.
No, I've opened both. In fact, there's Awakened Realms is doing a super deluxe version of this coming out, which I'm really excited about. And deluxe versions of all my games, like in the top whatever, are having deluxe versions coming
That's awesome.
out.
It's because they're extremely well regarded and they've stood the test of time. So that's cool.
Cool.
My number 3. Nobody can guess what it is. My number 3 is War of the Ring. It's a crossover with Jason.
Surprise!
I love War of the Ring.
I wouldn't have guessed it.
I love the way this game plays. I love the theme. I love the fact that, yes, it is Lord of the Rings in a box, but you don't have to do exactly what happened in the books. You can be like, oh, well, you know what? We're going to run around this way instead of going through Moria or whatever. You can do all sorts of different things and do a lot of what-if scenarios in Lord of the Rings. But it's very asymmetrical. One side's the Shadow, and they're trying to crush and get these strongholds. The other side is the Fellowship, and they're trying to just hold on. There's very little hope, and if the knife strays just a little, then it's going to be doom for all of humanity. But you're trying to get the ring to Mount Doom to throw that in without Frodo being corrupted as well. So it's a very interesting back and forth. I played this game a ton. I played with a bunch of different people. I played the deluxe version. The version I have is the regular version. And even though there's a deluxe version of the game, I don't think it's the end-all be-all. The regular gameplay is the exact same. So feel free to go out there and get the regular Ares version, second edition version of the game. That's the version I have. I painted up some of my minis. I really enjoy War of the Ring. It's just a blast to play. It's just so much fun.
I feel like if the whole world is at stake, should you be playing this game?
What do you mean?
Is this like Jumanji where you get sucked in and everything's affected by it?
The game sucks me in for sure, but not that much,
Elephants aren't knocking down your door.
I don't think Middle Earth would be too bad of a place to be sucked into, depending on the age.
I guess the question
on how good you are at walking.
The question is, are you getting Jumanji'd into War of the Ring, or is War of the Ring coming out and Jumanji'ing out of War of the Ring?
Well, that's what it seems like in Jumanji. At least the first one, right? Seems like it's coming out of the game.
But yeah, Lord of the Rings in a box, an amazing game. That is War of the Ring.
Yes.
My number 2 has been number 2 for a long time, and that doesn't mean that it's poop. It means that it is awesome, and this is A Feast for Odin. Specifically with the expansion, I feel I loved Feast for Odin. It was my number 2. But then when the expansion came out, I was like, this tightens up everything and gives me even more to explore. Now I have pigs that I can try to fiddle with and individual player buildings and stuff. But this is one of those games that I have played for years now. And honestly, when Chris and I first bought it, we weren't expecting to keep it. We thought we would just burn and churn it to review it and get rid of it. We found it for a really good deal on a secondhand marketplace. The guys' game group didn't really like it. It was a little bit much for them. And we thought it was going to be a bit much for us. And then I loved it. And it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And I feel like I can still explore in this game. I feel like even though I've played it a ton, I can go those easy strategies that I know work.
That's cool.
Or I can just choose something different and be like, you know what, I'm going to go heavy crafting and I'm going to go heavy animals and I'm going to do something that I'm not just going to go whaling, I'm not just going to go raiding. And I feel like that expansion tightened that up as well so that those alternate options are even more of an option. And, maybe I'm going to get an island this time, or maybe I'm going to get a couple sheds. There's just so many different possibilities in this game. And so it really is that sandbox worker placement. Because I like, what's this guy's name? What's the designer?
Uwe Rosenberg.
Uwe, thank you. I like Uwe Rosenberg, but sometimes his games, I feel like after I play them a few times, I kind of have a general strategy that I want to go with. This is different, and I feel like I can keep exploring this. So that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, this is where he took Agricola and Caverna and combined it with Patchwork. And the puzzle and the filling in to surround but keep those spaces open to get the bonuses is so good. And the concept of not always just a single worker, but this one's going to cost 2, this one's going to cost 3 for a better action. Just so many things about this game work. I I think it's a great game.
It's so good. It is so good. And I think there's another expansion coming out for it soon.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's exciting as well.
More to feast upon.
Yes. So my number 2, and I guess spoiler alert, this was my number 1 the last time I did the list.
Oh, dang.
So it's moved down to number 2.
It has been dethroned.
It's been dethroned.
Okay, what was it? Because I don't actually know what your top 10 was.
My number 2 is a game that I've played tons of times. I'm kind of jealous that I didn't get to play I don't know if I'm jealous or not, but I didn't get to play the roll and write version with you and Chris. I wish I did before it got put into a certain pile. But it's 18XX, or I'm hoping 1830 is what's shown up here. 1824.
Oh, okay.
I love the 18XX system in general.
Oh, wait, you're counting all of them?
18, yes. If you have to put
If a game was from the 1800s, it's in Jason's list.
Let's just call it the rail track system.
Also,
is what
that
we'll
roll and
call
write
it.
game was garbage, but...
I know, but I wanted to play it.
Wait, Wendy, you think that the number's the year it came out?
The number is the year. The number is the year that it came on. So 1829 was the first, but 1830 was the first true OG, which had the stock system. And this game is all about stocks. It's all about owning majorities in companies to control where you build the track, to then run the rail, to run different trains, but trains go old because new train technology comes in, and you need to make sure you keep up with the train technology to keep running. And it's just a phenomenal economic game, but it has a great board with track building as well. I adore all of these, and I think 18X is a great system. We still have 8 of them in our library. We have a good amount in our library. Cool. So if people want to try them, come to one of our Dice Tower conventions and you can try one of the 18X games.
Poker chips as well, so you can borrow the poker chips from the library and use them in our game.
Yes.
At least at Dice Tower East. We always keep those. I played one of them, and for the life of me, I can't remember which one it was.
Was it a newer one?
I don't know.
1846, probably. It's a shorter one.
I was told it was one of the nicer ones.
Then either 1830 or 1846, probably.
46 sounds right.
Yes.
That might have been
Yes, it's the GMT one. It's amazing as well. It's a beginner one. It's only about 3 to 4 hours as opposed to 5 to 6 hours for the longer
we started
ones.
it at midnight, which was,
It's the right time to do that. There's a new thing that just came out from Rio Grande called 1930, which is an airline version. And you're building airlines and going across America, which is really neat.
America.
Airlines America, yes.
19XX
Instead of Europe. Yes.
That's awesome. Well, my number 2 is a game that I love. I mean, second favorite game of all time. It's amazing. I have so much content for this game, and this is probably one of my most played games ever, and this is Marvel Champions. I love Marvel Champions. I love playing this game. I have everything for the game. I haven't played all of the Age of Apocalypse stuff yet, but I've started my campaign.
Then why have I never heard you talk about this before?
I talk about, it's because it's so high on the list, so it took me a really long time to get here. But yeah, I love Marvel Champions. Marvel Champions is a blast. I love playing with Wolverine and Doctor Strange and Captain America and all the different X-Men stuff. I've been loving playing through all of that. It's been a blast, and I want to play even more of it. It's just so much fun having so many different characters to play with and against each other. And this is a game that I'll play solo. I'll play 2 players. I played it at conventions a ton with people as well. Marvel Champions is just
Can you play this with your kids yet?
I have played with Scotty several times, but yeah, because it's cooperative, it makes it a little bit easier, and he has fun with it. We haven't played it a ton together, but we have played it a few times, and he really enjoys it. So,
that's awesome.
So yeah, Marvel Champions is a blast. Have you played this, Jason?
I have played it a ton. Were you there with us the year it got released at Gen Con?
Yes, I was definitely sitting at a different table.
Were you there when we went to the Fantasy Flight pre-release?
Yes, I was.
And
we
played it. And who did we play it with? We played it with Trey Parker the very first time.
You weren't playing with Trey Parker. I was playing with Trey Parker, and Trey Parker hated this game. So
that's why it wasn't in his top 10 when he came here.
But yeah, no, I love Marvel Champions. It's a ton of fun to play. So
yes, it's an amazing game. I love this game too, and it's funny because it's kind of a reskin of the Lord of the Rings one in a way.
It's very different though. The fact that it's so much easier to get to the table.
Yes.
It has that vibe of Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror LCG, which I also really enjoy. But it just makes it so much simpler to get to the table. And the fact that they made the packaging for this game of every hero you get just automatically comes ready to play right out of the thing. The bad guys are easier to set up than it is in Lord of the Rings and Arkham. They're still not quite as easy as like just get a bad guy and play it, you know. But it is still just an amazing game and so much fun to play. So
ease of setup and play makes such a difference for a game to stick around.
The fact that I'm such like a Marvel geek, like I love being able to play stuff in the comics.
What's
and stuff
better,
like that.
Lord of the Rings or Marvel?
Lord of the Rings, but still, I really enjoy Marvel as well. But yeah, my number 2 of all time, Marvel Champions.
All right, my number 1 has been my number 1 for a long time as well, and this is Brass Birmingham. Oh my goodness, this is my favorite. Like when I think of a Roxley Deluxe Edition game, this is what I think of. Like Brass is a beautiful game. I liked the original, but I didn't love it. And I feel like everything that was wrong with it, when they made Birmingham, they just fixed it. They fixed it, they made it better, they made a better system, better upgrades, just like the different things that you can invest in, the different types of buildings you can invest in are better. And so in Brass Birmingham, you're building routes, and those routes are connected to buildings that you're building, and those buildings get to positively interact with other people. So if I build steel and I've got these steel cubes on it, that makes it so that Jason can afford to build steel stuff for free, which is great. But as he pulls those cubes off, I get to flip over my steel thing and score it and gain income, gain points. And so it's just really cool. This is one of those games that you have a set amount of cards, and about halfway through the round, you have all the cards in your hand left that you're going to do to play. And so it may seem like one of those games that you can't pivot a lot, but you really can, because there's such a dynamic market, because as coal gets more expensive and people are not building out coal, on a turn you could be like, wow, I could just put out a coal building. I could earn so much money off of it and immediately flip it over for income and points. And so you're like, oh, I was gonna do something else, but I think I think now, because of the way everyone else has played, I'm gonna build coal now and I'm gonna make that awesome. And so you build coal and everyone else is like, oh, phew, someone built coal finally. Or they're like, man, I was gonna do that very turn, I have to do something else. And so for a game that you know exactly what you have in your hand, you can do so much pivoting, and there is that fun interaction, and there's so much positive interaction, as well as you cut each other off and get in each other's way. But there's enough positive interaction that I really enjoy it. I enjoy that the turn structure is dependent on how much money you play each round. And so you're really trying to take those big purchases and kind of like scrunch them together so that you can have rounds where you pay almost nothing for anything, and you're like, I'm gonna go first next, and I'm gonna build a ton of expensive stuff and then go last. But there's so much good in this game. I love it so much.
Have you played this one?
No, and I've asked Chris so many times, like, oh, we need to play. I really want to sit down and play this game. I mean, mostly because it's so well regarded. Like, I need to know what makes this game tick, because like so many people love it so much. But yeah, and the production and components of this game are amazing.
Beautiful.
It is. It's funny, and here comes the name drop. So I was talking with Martin Wallace recently, and he was telling me that he was shocked that this ended up as #1 in BGG. He's like, a game that I created 20 years ago that was about the economics of the age of industry, somehow Roxley made it amazing, and now people want my game. And he was shocked about it.
When you make a really good like Euro engine and actually make it look beautiful, then it can, it
can rise up. But also, it's such a good engine. It's one that there's so much interaction, but it's in a good way that I don't hate, because oftentimes interaction I get frustrated with.
The card choice is interesting.
There's so many good decisions. Yeah. And it does change from game to game. You can't just pick the same thing and do it every game, because there's so much interaction.
Spoiler alert, I got to play the newest Brass. There's going to be another one coming out from the same team that did.
Are you allowed?
Are you allowed to talk about this?
I'm allowed to say that there's a new version. I'm not going to say anything more about it, but there's a new version.
Okay.
Is it Lord of the Rings themed?
Not saying what it is.
Is it space themed?
But there's a new version.
Theme confirmed. I'm pretty sure that confirmed.
In space.
That means I'm definitely not playing this. I'm waiting for the Lord of the
Rings.
There's
a new version. So expect a third in the series to come out. I think within a year is what they were saying. So.
It's hard to know that you could make it better than this, though.
My cousin's like, are you allowed to talk about this?
Yeah.
Cut the stream.
Yeah. No, we're
The Roxy snipers are in
we're
position.
fine.
There's like red marks on your shirt. Watch out, Jason.
No, we're fine.
Duck.
So yeah, it's I love this game too, and I can't wait. I can't wait for even more.
Good. So good.
What's
So-
your number one, Jason?
My number one, it's weird. I have a new number
weird.
one, but I don't know how to say this in the best way, but I have a love-hate relationship with this game. And I know it's a
Oh,
weird
I know what it is.
It's a weird thing to say that I could have a love-hate relationship with
Is it
a
social
game.
deduction?
It is social
You
deduction.
play this game so much.
Yes, I've played this game more than any other game
Is it that big
in
book
my
one?
life. Yes, I played this game probably like 3,000 or 4,000 times, and it's a
You're
game
kidding me.
No, because during COVID, this was like something that I did online that got me through COVID, and I would
Okay.
play this all the time at my house. And it's Blood on the Clock Tower.
I cannot play that much social deduction, man.
And
I didn't realize there was an online version during COVID.
there is, and this is where
Okay.
my love-hate relationship comes in with this game, because the online version, let's just say that I was speaking with a company recently, and it's the same thing when you think of online games. There's vocal communities, and there's a lot of bullying and harassment and doxing and gatekeeping, and
For
it's
this? Or just
toxic.
you mean
That's so
in, like,
sad.
video
No,
gaming?
for this in the online, and
That's so sad.
And I was at a point where I was getting bullied and harassed by certain of what the company called the vocal community, which isn't everyone, but I was at a point where I wanted to stop playing this because of it. But I spoke with the company and the designer, and now here's where I love it, is that it is the best social deduction game out there.
Gotcha. I know you played a lot of cons as well, right?
Yes, and he even said that he feels that it's a game that deserves to be played in person. It was meant to be an in-person game. The online thing kind of just spawned out of it.
Well, you even started playing it before this edition came out, right?
Yes.
You had your own like printed out
Do you
kind
mostly
of thing.
play, or do you like run the game? 'Cause
I do both.
Someone has to run the game, and that's all they do, right? There's like a DM almost.
Yeah, I've done
gotcha.
both. Like I've run the game probably over 1,000 times and played the game probably over 3,000 to 4,000 times. So I've played overall I played the game thousands of times, and a lot of it online, a lot of it in person. Like if you come to any of our conventions, like on Dice Tower Cruise, I run it. At Dice Tower Con, I run it. At Dice Tower Retreat, I run it. So I think that it's it's the best social deduction game out there. It's got actual puzzle solving in it, which is great, and it's definitely one of those things that I like I was saying, I think it's a great game. Obviously there's a lot, people need to be better online, and people should just be better in general and treat people better.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you want to play it, come hang out with me at one of our conventions, and I will definitely play this with anyone. I will run it for you, and I absolutely adore this game, and I think the designer is a great person. He's got some expansions that he showed me some things from, and I'm looking forward to the expansion as well for this one.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, it's in the library, so come join Dice Tower East.
Sweet. Well, my number one, this is basically a product of what happens when you use a lot of the mechanics from one of my favorite games ever, and then make it even better, and then put an IP on it that I love.
Like Lord of the Rings.
Now, I don't love it as much as Lord of the Rings, but I grew up with this IP. You also enjoy this IP. This is Dune War for Arrakis. This is my number one Dune game. This is my number one game, period. Because it's basically-
Transformers? Where's the bucket?
The bucket's up there. We removed it
It's
so you
been
can't reach
censored.
it. But yeah, I love playing Dune War for Arrakis. Basically, it takes some of the mechanics of War of the Ring, like the dice system, and it improves it. And it basically makes the dice even better, so that way you have all these leaders that kind of play off the different dice and kind of help improve your dice and make your actions even better as the game goes along. And it's just dripping with Dune theme. Like, I enjoy the original Dune game just because it has a lot of that Dune theme in there. And then I really enjoy the Dune Imperium. But this game just takes that theme of the second movie. This is that second movie in a box. And this feels like it is a trilogy with War of the Ring, Star Wars Rebellion, and Dune War for Arrakis. None of them are by the same publisher. It's definitely not a trilogy, but it gives you that like in a box game feel. And it's got the area control. You have the Harkonnen that are trying to find the Sieges and destroy all of the Fremen and the Atreides that are out there. And then you have the Atreides that are basically trying to spark a rebellion and spark an uprising by doing all these different missions to push them up the prescience track, and your opponent and the Harkonnen doesn't know how far you need to get up on each of those tracks to win the game, but they're like, oh man, they're inching too far on this, oh, we're inching too far on that, and they can see the goals you're going after, all the different missions. It's not secret to them. They know, oh, they're going to be trying to do this, oh, they're going to be trying to do that. But the whole time you could try to mess them up a little bit, but you really have to destroy their sieges to win the game. But you're also trying to mine spice, or else you're going to get all these Imperium bans put on you that are going to hinder your ability to even have be able to discard cards to get extra dice rolls and do all this different stuff. There's so many different leaders with different powers, and the game just plays so smooth. It plays quicker than War of the Ring, and it just has so much theme. I love Dune, and like if you enjoy that IP at all, if you enjoyed the second movie, this is a no-brainer. And I mean, you do have to like conflict games. It's basically a war game, like head-to-head asymmetrical war game where you're blowing each other out. But if you enjoy that kind of game at all, this game is amazing, and it's just a blast to play. I saw a ton of people playing this at BGG Spring. I taught it to Sam at Dice Tower West, and we just had like an epic game. Like Sam was shouting out like as he was winning combats against me. It was just so much fun. I love Dune War for Arrakis, and that's why I made it. I was actually surprised myself that I was going to push all the way up to my number 1, but War of the Ring is my number 2. And I like this better than War of the Ring.
War of the Ring wasn't your number 2, it was your number 3.
War of the Ring was my number 2 last year.
I really love how Dune is having its day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I don't love these kind of games, but I love that this IP that I grew up with is having its day. That makes me happy.
I need to say something. You've still promised me a game of this, and we still haven't played it. I love War of the Ring. I have a feeling this is going to end up in my top 100 next year.
Jason,
I feel like we have 100 games that we need to play together.
You've promised me forever. It was, we're going to do it here, we're going to do it there, we're going to do it there. We have to play this. And if not, Pete Shirey, I know you're there. If you're at Origins, I assume you will be. Please, Pete, let's meet up at Origins. I want to play this as soon as possible because I love War of the Ring, and I know this is going to be just as good, and I'm very excited.
It's a really, really good game. Yeah, and I mean, you get sandworms, you get all this different stuff. It's just so fun. It's very Dune and just a great war game. But yeah, so that is our top 100 of all time. Some surprises, some crazy mismatches, but hey, we made it through and we had a lot of fun. So, but yeah, thanks everybody for joining us for the Summer Spectacular. Once again, shout out to World Series of Board Gaming for sponsoring this. Check the link below for checking out more information about that. But hey, we're gonna go in the other room and play some more games with you guys. So stay tuned, click the link to the next video. And I've been Roy Canny.
I'm Wendy Yee.
Jason Levine, the gaming machine.
The spice must flow.
Yes, it will.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.